Welcome back, my dear students. This is Dr. Osama Kashwa, your teacher. And today we are going to talk about the income statement. We had previously a lecture about the income statement and how to formulate the income statement and what are the uses of the income statement. And then we will apply the income statements into Excel program and how we can get benefit of Excel in formulating the income statement. Income statement show me the revenues and the expenses. Then when we say revenues minus expenses, it will give me net profits or net losses. And this is the way it is. So this is how the income statement looks like. And let me remind you, but first I have to share my screen. I have to share the screen first so everybody can see what is here. As you see now, the income statement, like the way you see it, is including, of course, the income statement also for the companies, which is usually for the year ended in, or for the months ended in, or for the period like quarterly or semi-annually or annually, the income statement is prepared. So the income statement is a record of your revenues and your expenditures. And the difference between them will give me at the end the net income. As example here, we have the revenues like the sales revenues, my sales operation, how much I earned from the sales. It equals number of units sold times the price of each. Interest revenues for me, money for me is coming for me. As example, I put money in the bank and this money give me as a company interest. So this is earns. Gain on the sales of assets. As example, I sold assets with 5,000. I earned 2,000 as profit. So those are also gains on sales on assets. So any revenues will be here. So when we come to see here now, 100,000 plus 5,000 plus 3, all will come to 108,000. This is the total revenues. Likewise, I did for the revenues, I will do for the expenses. So for the expenses, I will start with the cost of goods sold. This is 75,000. Commissions expenses, like you pay commissions for the people, you pay commissions for the salesmen. This is 5,000. Office supply expenses, 3,500. Office equipment expenses, 2,500. Advertising expenses, because you must pay for advertisement so that your product will run and you will promote your product through the advertising. You paid 2,000. Interest expenses. Now you took as example loan and you have to pay the loan plus the interest. So the interest expenses which you paid here is 500. This is different than the interest revenues. In the interest revenues, you deposit money in the bank. But here, you lend money from the bank. You lend or borrow money from the bank. Okay. So the first, the interest is yours. The second is interest is you. You have to pay it. This one, you have to pay it. But this one, you earn it. The interest revenues here, you earn it. But here, the interest, you have to pay it. You took loan, as example, you took loan and you have to pay the interest here, in the interest. Okay, less loss from lawsuits. As example, you have some losses or whatever. It's 1,500. So all the total expenses are 90,000. If we calculate those, 75,000 plus 5,000 plus 3,500 plus 2,500 plus 2,000 plus 500 plus 1,500, all will come to 90,000. So what? I have revenues of 108,000, and I have expenses of 90,000. Simply, if your earns are 108,000 and your expenses are 90,000, then you earn net income. Your net income will be 18,000, which is the gap between 108,000 your earns and your expenses 90,000. We call this in business, this 18,000, we call them net income, net profit. Net losses, if it was in minus, it will be net losses. Okay, now the time comes to apply this on the Excel. How we will get use of the Excel to check out for the income statement. How we will work on the income statement in Excel. Okay, here is an income statement. And we have here comparison between 2 years, 215 and 220. And this is the income statement. Like we said, you can write your company name here as example, Alpha Company, Alpha. And this is income statement years ended in 2020. So this is what we write now. I just want to remind you, I just want to remind you about what we started to talk in the start, that this is Excel program. How did I know that this is Excel? Though behind is white, no, it doesn't mean anything because here are the cells. As example, if I stop here, this is including cell C and D together, cell and D, and the line 6. If I stop here as example, it's E, cell E with line 6. If I stop here, it's cell F with line 6, and so on. So, and also I can write whatever I want to do. I can write the numbers. I can just return it back the way it is or middle of the way. I can do here as example, enlarge DF or decrease it. That's all left up to me. I will return back to the situation where uh, we'll have, we wrote the name, yeah, okay, then Control and Z. This was the final situation we had. Okay, so now it's Alpha and it's an income statement and 2020. Now the sales revenue, let me say here, the sales revenue was $10,000 or $100,000. In 2014, they were $150,000. Now, less sales returns and allowances. I don't have sales returns. I have service revenues. Service revenues were 50,000. I will make it 40,000. I got, because I'm doing services, I have revenue from it. The word revenue means you will add it, right? Here, let's say it was 30,000. Okay. Then here it will be 180, and here it will be 100 plus 40 would be 140. Likewise, I told you before, how will I get this number 140? Because I counted, I input the 100 and I input the 150 and I input the 40,000 and the 30,000. How did this was calculated? The idea, the same idea which I showed you before. What is the idea which I showed you before? Let us see another Excel application and we'll show it to you. So if I say as example, let me stop here and I say 100 and here is 200, okay, and I want the sum of this here. I want the sum of those two numbers here. I know that 100 and 200 and 300, but the problem when they increase. So I will say equals sum, SUM, and here I will take the function sum, then I will open bracket. The cell, the first cell is F, and the line is 1. So F1, then in between brackets, F1, this is R1, sorry, F1. F1, 2, this is F1, 2, F2, F2. Then I will close the bracket. Then press enter, it gave me 300. That's how it works. Usually we said, this is the way to work, or there is another way. Like as example, if I don't want to do it by this way, I can go to the functions itself, or I will go to the column of the formulas. So I want the submission of this auto sum, then I will tell him sum. Here it is, auto sum, and I will tell sum. So he will say, what do you want? 100 and 800, that's fine. Okay, here you got it, 300. So this is another way to calculate the sum in the Excel program. So we have to do it two ways, yeah. And I showed this before in one of the videos, please watch it back. Okay, now we'll go to the expenses, the part of the expenses. How far we have expenses here? Let me put this as example. The expenses here was $200. And here on year 2014, it was $230. And cost of goods sold, let me say the cost of goods sold was 10,000. And here the cost of goods sold was 11,000. Then let me see about the interest expenses and the maintenance repairs and whatever. If I have any more expenses, like as example now, I will say this $10, 10,000. Of course, I'm trying to simplify the numbers as much as I can, 12,000. So that the idea is how to do it. The idea is how to do it. Okay. Then here also I have salaries and wages. Let us say 40,000. And here we have salaries and wages of 45,000. So now look at this. When I press here, the whole total expenses will change. Now the total expenses became 60,000. Look at this, 10 and 10, 20 and 40. We have 60,000 and 200. This is the 200. This is the 200. So 210 and 10 and 40, 60,200. Okay, same likewise, the same thing here for the second year, which is 2014. 230 plus 100,000 plus 12,000. This is 11,000 plus 12,000 plus 45,000 will give me 68,230. So this was about the total expenses. Okay. Then the net before income is what? The gap between them. When I subtract like 140 minus the 60,200, that will give me 79,800. Okay, dokie. Okay, dokie. Same thing I will do here. So the system calculated 180,000 minus 68,230, then it will give me 111,770. Okay. I said the total revenues minus the total expenses. That will give me the income before taxes. Okay. Now, if I know the taxes, or I calculated the taxes and I found that the taxes were 15,960, or maybe like we will say that if I give it say 10% of the net income, then this cell will be 37, E37 uh, will be the amount, the total amount, or 830 income tax expenses. 838 will be 830 E37 times the taxes, as example, 12%, 13%, or whatever. Okay. Now, I got the income taxes, and I have the income before taxes. I will deduct them. So 79,800 minus 15,960, This will give me 63,840. Likewise, the same thing for the other year. Okay, so the net income is like what you see is the net income after the taxes. Excel helped me to organize this work. It helped me to organize this work. Thank you so much for listening to the net income and the application by Excel. Thank you.